main things I tell people all the time when they're using LinkedIn is your LinkedIn profile is basically like a modern day resume. Throughout the years, a lot of people have had to put a lot of work into their resume, make sure it got through the ATS system, got the right people. But now, especially with how social media is advancing, we have things like LinkedIn that you don't have to rely so much on a resume to get a good impression. So you might be thinking, what does a well constructed profile actually look like? What I'm going to do right now is show each part of my profile I have, starting from the beginning with the header all the way down to my experiences section. Of course, the first thing that shows up in your LinkedIn profile is your header because you want to make sure you have a great first impression. And what better way to do that than having a clear and clean profile picture? You'll be very surprised how many times I will view a profile, whether I'm within an interview process, and I look and it's either blank picture, there's nothing there, or it's a complete unnecessary photo or whatnot, and it can really throw someone off. And I'm not saying you need to go up there and have a suit and tie and look all proper. I think for myself, I'm just there with like a sweatshirt on, right? Because that kind of represents myself. However, you at least want to be clean and clear. You don't want it to look too blurry. Don't have a ton of people involved. Try to make it only about you so people get a really good impression on who you really are. Right after that kind of goes into my next reason, which the header should be clearly defining yourself. So with that, underneath your photo will be kind of things like you'll put down maybe your job title, things you're looking for. And if you're just throwing random stuff up there with a bunch of keywords and not really making too much sense, it's going to look like a hot mess, to say the least. So you really want to make sure that header gives a little clean format so it really tells you who you really are. Think of it like almost like on your resume. It's like a summary section, 1, 2 sentences, right to the point. Make sure you're trying to leave the best impression possible for people. After that, we have the location, and I know that could be a little bit of an interesting one. The reason why I'm going to say with location, considering metro areas, is for example, if you're looking for a job and let's say you live near New York City, right? You're about, I don't know, 45 minutes away from New York. You're not willing to work in New York, but you're open to it. If you decide to say your small town in New Jersey or Connecticut or something like that, you might not get the most people reaching out to you to find those jobs. Instead, if you say something like New York City metro area within your location, recruiters will be able to easily reach out to you, say, oh, this person claims they're within the area, they're open to work. So instead of limiting yourself to your small options, now, like I said, this is if you can. If you live somewhere where you're not really near a larger city, this could be a little bit difficult. But if you do, I highly recommend putting in the nearest largest city. So it opens up your opportunities to be way more than just focusing on maybe your smaller town of 5, 10,000 people. And the bottom one is using a custom link. Now, what's great about that with your header is even if you don't have LinkedIn Premium, you can add in a link in your header. A great thing to put there is something like your resume or portfolio, something that really could bring people to something. Because your whole point, like I said, with all of this, with a photo, the header, your location, you're trying to reel people in. So if they're going to keep reading from top down, what should come next? Your resume or portfolio. Those are the things that are going to really get the recruiters or hiring managers' attention. So make sure to utilize that. Do not skip out on that. You can go in there, click link, put in any kind of link you want, but I would highly recommend either doing your resume or portfolio for that part. If we see right here, this is an example of my header on my profile. I have my name, and right underneath right there, obviously there's my photo, and you can see, yes, I'm wearing a sweatshirt. I think just for me, right, I think that the mass majority would say, don't do that. Wear suit and tie, look proper. You could do that. That's probably is the better thing to do. But me, that's who I am. That's the best representation of who I am. I'm a sports person. I wear sweatshirts all the time. It just represents me the best. But I clearly made sure it was a clean photo. I wasn't there sitting 10 feet away from the camera or anything like that. I made sure it was my face and I'm focused, and that was it. Clean and clear. And then right underneath that is my header where you'll see things like data advisor at Cigna. Took this photo maybe a couple months ago, got a new job. But I have my job. I'm a LinkedIn instructor, founder of Data Frenchie, and I kind of give people right away. I help underpaid and unappreciated professionals break into data analytics. So right there, you know everything you have to know about me. Obviously, there's way more than that, but you clearly know what I do, maybe a couple important things like a LinkedIn instructor, and within one sentence, I give you an idea of what I do. Now, my header is more written towards just people trying to connect with me in general. I'm not looking for a job at the moment. If I was looking for a job, that header would look a little bit different. Maybe saying some significant thing I did in my last job where maybe I saved 100 hours of automating with an Excel. I'd write that there because that's what you're, like I said, real people in. I'm trying to bring in people to connect with me. I'm not looking for a job. Like I said, if I was, that header would be a little bit different. And if you see right underneath there, I have New York City metro area. I currently live, I don't know, an hour 15 away from New York City. And I would be open to a job in New York. I'm not saying I would 100%, but putting that there, make sure that if anyone has a opportunity within the New York metro area, my name would show up in a search. Instead of just saying where I am in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, I say New York City metro area because I want to make sure a recruiter gives me a chance. I don't want them to be like, oh, they're not open to it. I don't want them to assume. I am open to that. I live in the New York City metro area, and that's my location. And plus, to it doesn't give away your location. Maybe sometimes you don't want to put exactly where you are to the public, so putting in a metro area comes in very, very handy. And underneath that is my link to free Excel project workshop. Once again, I'm not looking for a job, but that custom link right there is something I'm trying to promote. Next up in your profile is the featured section, and this might be the most important part. This is something that's not really common in resume where you don't have so much of a featured section. You might, have things like your summary, experience, stuff like that. But having a featured section is perfect for LinkedIn. And like I said, my first bullet point is huge for self-promotion. If you're trying to land a job, this is the area where you put off the best of the best. Things like a resume or portfolio. These are links right away to objects you want people to see because, like I said, it goes from your header, your featured, and then so on. So as that next point shows off what's most important to you and what you want others to see first. Like I said, I'm not looking for a job, so some of my things are more of the free classes I'm running or some other products I have. If I'm looking for a job, and I have done that, I'd say about 7-8 months ago when I was looking for a job, the posts in my feature section changed. I made them focus on work that I did, whether it's some type of automation I did at work or a dashboard I recently made. I want to promote my skills so if people came to my profile, they clearly could see what I can do. And then last point, projects and resumes are perfect for this section because mainly they can see it, right? Because before I said the custom links are a really good spot to bring people to, but this featured section, you're allowed to add a photo to it. So things like a resume or a project, you want to maybe put a little image of a dashboard you did. The featured section is a fantastic place to pull people to a location that you really want them to go. And it's highly recommended, and I don't see people use it enough. I really look around and I see a feature section. I don't even see it used. And I'm like, why would you not use that? That is the next thing they see, right? They see your name and like, oh, okay, I'm interested. And then you get to the feature and there's nothing there. So that's the spot you want to pull them in. So make sure things like your projects and portfolio are there are the perfect thing to go. See right here, this is an example of my feature section. Like I said, I am not looking for a job, but in this situation, I can, I'm going to let you kind of think. Looking at these three featured parts in my section, what do you think I'm trying to do? If you look around, I'm trying to promote my YouTube. First one, do you want to do a project with me in Excel? That leads to a YouTube link. Second one, and the one right in the middle, talked about I released my part one of my Excel series. That's a YouTube link. Last one, do you want to do a Power BI project? That's a YouTube link. So the featured section is once again telling people, I'm trying to promote my YouTube. This is what I can do. And you'll also be surprised that this might go a little off topic, but I've been in some job interviews where that's actually my recent one where they point out my YouTube stuff. And I don't really do a lot of YouTube. It's not a huge part of what I do every day. But they saw my videos on YouTube and they were very impressed on how I did my projects and how I talked about them. So make sure you have things in your feature section or also our videos. It can be really, really helpful to show off your work and whatnot. Next up, your profile is the About section. And right away, I'm going to kind of go into the first bullet point because I think this is pretty much what it is. Think of this as a cover letter or almost an expanded summary section. This is a total open slate that you could write whatever you want. And because it's an About section, you could write a million different things. But really what the focus on is not writing a million paragraphs and trying to lose people's interest. This is your chance to show off you as a person, your personality, and what you've done in the past. And I said in the next bullet point is where you want people to fully understand you and your capabilities. That doesn't have to all be technical. You don't have to go off and talk about all the technical things you've done. You also want to show off you. Because at the end of the day, you could be the greatest analyst. You could be able to query things in SQL like no one else can. But if you don't have the personality or people skills, it'll get you nowhere. So make sure to use a mix of not just technical, but also talking about yourself as a person, your experiences, because you want people to feel relatable. You want people to kind of relate to your background and your abilities, and anything you do reel people in is what we are looking for. And the last part, top skills, is important for recruiters and hiring managers. So in that section, you're also allowed to put up the 5 of your top skills. I highly recommend not using soft skills in that one because things like collaboration, leadership, those are extremely important. Yes, I understand that. But as a top skill, I mean, I feel like anyone should be able to collaborate. Anyone should be able to do leadership. You really want to put in there what your best of best is. And I would probably mostly focus on the technical aspects. So think like for me, if I had to put in my top skills, it'd be things like Excel, SQL, and Tableau. While maybe some people might be putting Python or whatnot, because those top skills come important because let's say you find a job that's very Tableau heavy and you clearly have that Tableau background. Those top skills sections come in very handy for when recruiters or hiring managers are also using the LinkedIn search bar. So make sure in your top skills, I probably wouldn't waste too much in there of using soft skills because you can talk about that in other sections of your profile. So really focus on things like the technical aspect. So it will come up very well within the LinkedIn job search part of the platform. And right here is an example of my about section. And I kind of treat this as, like I said, a little bit of a summary on a resume or a cover letter. I really want to give a little bit of a background of my journey, what I currently do, my background, and then also at the very bottom, putting in things like my top skills being SQL, Excel, and so on. It just gives me that space to actually elaborate on things because sometimes it comes to a resume, it might be limited. You try to think, okay, things gotta be down to one page or whatnot. This about section allows you to really expand on who you really are and what you want people to know. And last but not least, the experience and certification section of your profile. This one is by far the most straightforward. It treats us exactly like resume. So if you have something on your resume being an experience and you have bullet points on your resume, you might not want to put every single one in a profile because you don't want to go on forever and beat it exactly like a resume. But definitely anything that's within your resume, a couple, a few bullet points thrown into your section for each experience is what you're looking for, but making sure to actually use it. Make sure to not, like I said, if you put in 7, 8 bullet points, it's just going to go on forever and you'll lose people's interest. And also list your certifications. And the thing about the certifications that you want to be focused on. If you are getting into data and you haven't gotten a data job yet, it's okay to share things like, let's say you use a data French course, right? You take a data French course, you get a certificate, and you want to share it. That's cool. That's fine. But you want to make sure not to have like 30 or 40 of them because I think at that point we have to understand what is a true certification. It's okay to show a handful that you're trying to learn data. You're showing people, okay, this person's taking courses, they're taking these classes, they're actively trying to learn, and I can clearly see what they're up to. But understand an actual certification is something got like through Microsoft or Tableau. Actual certification, you have to sit down, you pay a fee, it's proctored, all that stuff. That's a legit certification. So that's something you really, really want to show off. But if you're in the learning stage, it's okay to show off things like certificates because it gets to show your learning process. But make sure not to blow up that section with 30 or 40 of them because it'll definitely lose its appeal with each one that comes in. You can see right here with the experience section, really nothing too crazy, just showing off the different parts I have with being a LinkedIn instructor, my jobs, all that stuff. Like I said, you're trying to keep it simple like that. In this sense, there isn't any information in there because it's not really needed at the time. If I was looking for a job, that section would be filled with 2 or 3 bullet points of the best pieces in each role. But for right now, just make sure it's in there nice and clean. Each one try and have an image if possible, and also trying to include skills for each job so it could really help pull in those informations from the searches whenever the hiring managers or recruiters go through. I really hope you enjoyed going through this part of the LinkedIn profile, starting from the top with the header all the way down to the experience section. And I really looking forward to seeing you over on the next video.